Welcome back to my channel. For more than a decade, Dayton Brown has been the silent observer. While the rest of the Brown family shouted across picnic tables, couches, and confessionals, Dayton stayed in the background, watching, listening, absorbing. But that silence didn't fade away quietly. It shattered. And when it broke, it did so with the force of a tectonic shift beneath the Brown family foundation. We've obtained information tied to a police call log from Coconino County, dated just 3 days ago, referencing a civil dispute at the Brown residence, involving a recreational vehicle and a distressed male subject. Let that sink in. Police, the mansion, an RV, and a family confrontation serious enough to warrant a call for help. The question everyone is now asking is simple but explosive. Why would Kody Brown try to evict his own son from the property? According to growing insider chatter, Dayton allegedly confronted Kody over his share of the $1.5 million Coyote Pass sale, money that was supposed to be sitting safely inside the family LLC. Instead, sources claim Dayton was met with a shocking reality. The account was empty.
Gone.
Vanished. And suddenly, this isn't just reality TV drama anymore. This is about missing money, a disputed RV, and a cryptic message paid on Brown posted online. A message many believe quietly confirms that the family's most overlooked member has finally walked away. Now, before we go any further, let me say this clearly. If you believe the Brown kids deserve every single penny of that Coyote Pass money more than Kody and Robin ever did, hit that like button right now. It sends a message that people are paying attention. And if you're not subscribed yet, turn on notifications, because this story is evolving fast, and you do not want to be the last one catching up. Let's get into what we're calling the Dabsark collapse. To understand why police were reportedly called, we have to rewind, not to an argument, but to paperwork. Kody and Robin's LLC, Dabsark, has long been mocked by fans as a clumsy vanity acronym. Dayton, Aurora, Brianna, Solomon, Ariella, Robin,
Kody.
But legal analysts and sharp-eyed viewers are now pointing out something unsettling. The order matters. Dayton isn't just listed, he's listed first. He is the D in Dabsark. And that detail may explain everything. Because to follow this trail, we have to revisit one of the darkest chapters in the family's history, Dayton's ATV accident. Years before Flagstaff, before Coyote Pass, Dayton suffered a serious injury that resulted in a substantial insurance settlement, money meant for his future, his care, and his security. But insiders have long whispered that this money never stayed isolated in a trust. Instead, the theory goes, it became seed money, borrowed to fund down payments, moves, and land purchases tied directly to Robin's properties. The promise? That it was a loan. That when the land sold, Dayton would be repaid, principal and interest, an investment in the family empire. And now, in April 2025, that promise appears to be colliding with reality. Because if Dayton asked for answers and got eviction papers instead, then this was never just a family disagreement. It was a reckoning. Real property records now confirm that the remaining Coyote Pass lots were sold for a combined total of $1.5 million. That is not pocket change. That is a massive cash injection, one that should have changed everything. For months, many of us assumed that money would go toward paying down the mansion, settling long-standing debts, or finally making things right with Janelle and Mary. But the timeline tells a far darker story. According to sources, the money landed in the Dabsark account in late April. And that's when the pressure began. Dayton, no longer a child and fully aware of what that sale meant, allegedly approached Kody with a simple request. He wasn't asking for charity. He wasn't asking for favors. He wanted his settlement money back. He wanted the return on an investment that had been built on his pain, his injury, and his future security. And that's where everything exploded. Instead of being handed a check, Dayton was reportedly met with something far more symbolic and far more cruel, a padlock. Sources close to the situation claim that when Dayton asked for what amounted to roughly a 15% share of the sale, Kody shut him down, insisting the money had already been allocated to other family obligations, debts, and taxes. No discussion.
No transparency.
Just a wall. We're told the conversation escalated almost instantly. And when Kody felt cornered, when control of the narrative started slipping, he did what he has always done when challenged. He attacked. This brings us directly to the civil dispute logged by the county. For over a year, rumors have circulated that Dayton was living in a high-end RV on the edge of Robin's property. It gave him independence while keeping him close to the family land. But once the money conversation went south, that arrangement suddenly became a problem. Sources allege Kody retaliated. The message was clear. If Dayton wasn't going to fall in line and accept that the money was gone, then he wasn't going to stay on the land either. The leaked narrative claims Kody suddenly declared the RV an eyesore and a violation of local ordinances he had ignored for years. Orders were given. The RV had to go. Picture the scene. It's nighttime in Flagstaff. A tow truck idles in the driveway. Kody Brown is pacing, manic, shouting about loyalty and responsibility, arms flailing as he demands that his own son vacate the property. And then there's Robin. Sources say this was the moment the glass finally shattered. We've watched Robin defend Kody through everything, but this time, reports allege she stood between the two men, crying, saying the family was bleeding out, that this was too much, that they were destroying themselves. Her tears didn't stop what came next. The RV was hooked up, and the police were called, not for an arrest, but to make sure the situation stayed civil. The official log doesn't mince words. Civil dispute, property removal. Cold. Clinical. Final. And just like that, the quiet one wasn't quiet anymore. Dayton wasn't just leaving the property. He was being erased, pushed out because he dared to ask for money that was always his. But this is where the story stops being a family tragedy and starts feeling like a heist thriller. Because the real question isn't why Dayton was evicted. It's where did he go next? When you're forced out of the mansion, when your father turns you into the problem, when the door closes behind you, there's only one place left to turn. The enemy of your enemy. Less than 24 hours after police reportedly cleared the driveway, something surfaced that sent shockwaves through the fandom. A grainy fan photo appeared on a private Reddit thread, taken from across a parking lot. Blurry, zoomed in, but unmistakable. 3 people. A diner on the outskirts of Flagstaff. A booth near the window. One was Gabriel Brown. One was Dayton Brown. And sitting across from them, with a notebook open on the table, was Janelle Brown. This is the twist Kody never saw coming. We all know Janelle isn't just another ex-wife. She was the finance wife. The one who handled taxes. The one who understood the LLCs, the transfers, the shell games. She knows exactly how the money moved and where it disappeared. If Dayton's settlement money was used without a clean contract, if he was listed as a legal partner in Dabsark, then Dayton doesn't just have questions. He has standing to sue. But to do that, he needs more than anger. He needs numbers. He needs timelines. He needs a forensic mind. He needs Janelle. That diner sighting is catastrophic for Kody Brown. For years, Kody survived by divide and conquer. Robin's kids were kept separate from the OG kids. He fed them a narrative that the OG kids were hostile, jealous, unwelcoming. He built a wall around Dayton, Aurora, and Brianna. That wall just collapsed. Dayton sitting with Gabriel, the son whose birthday Kody famously forgot, isn't just reconciliation. It's a symbolic detonation of Kody's entire control strategy. This wasn't about catching up. This was about alignment. Think about what was being discussed at that table. Janelle wasn't just offering comfort. She was likely collecting facts. Because if the Coyote Pass money is gone, Janelle has skin in this too. She and Mary helped fund Robin's house. If the land sale proceeds flowed into Dabsark, then Janelle may have been cut out just as thoroughly as Dayton. And now she has something she's never had before. An insider. Dayton lived in that house. Dayton heard the phone calls. Dayton watched the panic when the money came up. And once the quiet one starts talking, the entire story changes. Dayton knows the passwords. Let that land for a second. This wasn't just a casual family lunch or an emotional check-in. What it looks like from every angle is a strategy meeting. And not just for a lawsuit, but potentially a class action-style financial reckoning against the Brown family patriarch. Now look at the timing, because timing tells the truth when people won't. April, Coyote Pass sells. May, June, the money allegedly vanishes. July, Dayton is evicted. Now, the alliance forms. That sequence is not accidental. It aligns perfectly with rumors that Kody has been scrambling to liquidate assets, gun parts, collectibles, anything that can be turned into fast cash.
Why?
Because he knows what's coming. He knows Dayton is no longer the confused, isolated kid he once controlled. Dayton has degrees. Dayton is observant. And Dayton, by all accounts, kept receipts. What's even more revealing is the near-total silence from the rest of the family, except for one voice. Paydon. We'll get to his explosive comments in a moment. But first, we have to talk about the legal reality Kody may be facing. If the allegations are true, that Dayton's personal injury settlement was commingled with family funds, then this crosses a critical legal line. That isn't just immoral. It's a serious fiduciary breach. You cannot take money intended for a specific beneficiary and use it to purchase raw land for your own lifestyle.
Period.
And here's where things get even more chilling. If Dayton can prove the source of those funds, he doesn't just get to ask for repayment.
He can freeze accounts.
Which reframes everything. That empty Dabsark account mentioned earlier? It might not be empty because the money is gone. It might be empty because a judge put a hold on it.
Sit with that.
If Janelle helped Dayton file an emergency injunction, Kody could already be locked out of his own accounts. That explains the panic. That explains the rage. That explains the sudden, aggressive eviction. Kody isn't kicking Dayton out because he's difficult. He's kicking him out because Dayton is the plaintiff. And that changes how we view everything, including the last season of the show. We watched Robyn cry on camera about wanting the family back together, while behind the scenes, money that may have belonged to her own son was allegedly being spent. Which raises the darkest question of all. Did Robyn know? Did she sign off on it? Did she choose Kody's favor over her biological child? Because if she did, this isn't just about being a bad sister wife. It's about betrayal at the deepest level. And seeing Dayton sitting across from Janelle, calm, aligned, deliberate, suggests he knows exactly who had his back and who didn't. He didn't just leave the mansion on the hill. He defected. And the implications for the family, for the finances, and for the future of the show are enormous. TLC cameras were reportedly down during the eviction, which is exactly what the Browns have always done when things stop being storyline drama and start becoming real life. But here's the problem for Kody Brown. You can shut off cameras, but you cannot shut down a lawsuit. If Dayton takes this to court, everything becomes public record. The bank statements, the wire transfers, the exact sale price of Coyote Pass, and exactly where every single dollar went. For years, Kody has relied on LLCs like Dabsark to blur the lines, layering ownership, shifting funds, and hiding behind legal structures to keep the truth out of sight. But none of that protects you from a subpoena, especially when the subpoena is initiated by someone who may be a member of the LLC itself. That's why this moment matters. If seeing Dayton sitting with Janelle didn't already convince you that the Brown family has permanently fractured, then we need to talk about Paydon Brown. Paydon has always been the family's loose cannon. He's the one who says the quiet parts out loud. The one who doesn't seem particularly afraid of NDAs or consequences. And while most of the siblings have stayed unusually silent during this chaotic week, Paydon did the opposite. He dropped a bomb. Late last night, on TikTok, under a video speculating about the tow truck incident, a user asked, "Is Dayton finally seeing the truth about Kody?" Paydon replied with a single comment. A comment that was deleted less than 12 minutes after it went live, but on the internet, 12 minutes is an eternity. Screenshots were taken, and the message was unmistakable. Paydon wrote, "It's not just the OG kids anymore. The tenders are waking up. Hashtag justice 4-inch, let's break that down. Because every word in that sentence is a calculated strike. It's not just the OG kids anymore." That's confirmation that the divide Kody created is collapsing. The tenders are waking up. That's a direct reference to Robyn's children, children Kody believed were still under his influence. And #justice for? That isn't vague. That isn't emotional. That's legal language. That's not a family feud anymore. That's a warning. The tenders. That single word carries years of baggage. It's the dismissive term Kody himself popularized to describe Robin's children, the chicken tenders, the fragile ones, the kids he claimed needed constant protection. Too young, too sensitive, too dependent to ever be pushed away from him. So when Dayton used Kody's own terminology, it wasn't accidental. It was surgical. By saying the tenders are waking up, Dayton wasn't just commenting. He was mocking the entire system of control Kody built inside that house. Waking up implies something far more disturbing, that they were asleep, under spell. A spell of manipulation, secrecy, and financial fog that has finally broken. But the real smoking gun isn't the phrase. It's the hashtag. #justice for Dayton and Dayton have never been allies. Their history is complicated. We know about the bullying allegations. We know they were intentionally kept apart. So for Dayton to publicly rally behind Dayton is not casual, it's seismic. It signals a total shift in allegiance. The enemy of my enemy is my brother. That tells us something critical. Whatever happened with that RV, whatever happened with that bank account, it was so egregious, so blatantly unfair, that it bridged the divide between Christine's kids and Robin's kids. The children recognize the pattern. They know Kody's playbook. They've seen what happens when a child stops being useful, when they start asking questions, when they threaten control. That child gets discarded. And now, Dayton has been welcomed into the club of the disowned. That is Kody Brown's worst nightmare, because this completely destroys his last line of defense. Kody loves to claim the OG kids were poisoned against him, that Christine and Janelle turned their children. But that excuse collapses here, because you cannot say that about Dayton. Dayton lived in the mansion. Dayton was Kody's shadow. Dayton was the model of loyalty. If Dayton turned, it wasn't because of poison from the outside. It was because of rot from the inside. Dayton's comment confirms something devastating. The call is coming from inside the house. The rebellion has crossed the threshold of the McMansion. And how does Kody Brown respond to rebellion? Not with therapy, not with accountability, not with an apology. He responds with lawyers. This brings us to the most disturbing development in the entire saga. Yesterday morning, whispers began circulating among legal sources in Flagstaff. A courier was allegedly seen delivering a packet to a temporary address connected to Dayton Brown. Soon after, a blurred image of a document header began circulating in private Discord servers. The letterhead? A notoriously aggressive Scottsdale-based law firm, one Kody has reportedly used before for LLC restructuring. The document appears to be a cease and desist order. Let that sink in. A father sending a cease and desist to his own son. According to legal insiders reviewing the situation, the letter allegedly threatens Dayton with a defamation lawsuit if he speaks publicly about Dabsark's internal finances or the details of the Coyote Pass sale. This is not the move of an innocent man. You do not threaten to sue your child for defamation if your child is lying. You do it when your child is telling a truth you cannot afford the world to hear. Because if Dayton goes on a podcast, if he sits for a tell-all, if he testifies under oath, the entire financial shell game collapses. The cease and desist tells us exactly what Kody is afraid of. He's not afraid of being called a bad father. Kody Brown is terrified. Terrified of Dayton talking about the ledger. Terrified that Dayton will reveal how a personal injury settlement, money meant for his safety and future, vanished into the vortex of Robin's shopping obsession and Kody's risky real estate bets. This document transforms the story from a messy family drama into a full-blown corporate cover-up. Dabsark isn't just a family, it's a business. And Dayton isn't just a rebellious child anymore, he's a disgruntled shareholder. Think about this. For 18 seasons, Kody preached about family culture and loyalty. But the moment someone questioned his authority, the very person he claimed to be protecting, he resorted to legal threats. This is the final nail in Kody's character arc. He has gone from goofy, chaotic polygamist to a man willing to drag his own flesh and blood into court to protect his assets. Now, the timeline is crucial. The land sold in April 2025. The money disappeared. The RV was towed. The cease and desist was delivered. The walls are closing in. But here's the catch. A cease and desist is just a warning. It is not a gag order. Dayton didn't sign an NDA. He's a family member, not an employee.
He's free to speak.
And with Janelle in his corner, likely guiding him on his rights, that piece of paper from Kody's lawyer might just ignite the fire. Janelle knows that truth is the ultimate defense. If they can prove the money was misappropriated, Kody's threats evaporate, and he may even face criminal liability for fraud. We are witnessing a Greek tragedy in real time. The king of reality TV has alienated every ally, his wives, the OG kids, and now the crown prince of Robin's lineage. Dayton leaving wasn't just a move, it was an escape. And Kody knows it. That's why the police were called. That's why the lawyers are involved. He's trying to plug a dam that has already burst.